we have a massive story on the front page of CoinDesk that was written by our investigative reporter, Anna Baidakova, and it is all about how crypto keeps feeding Russia's war despite sanctions. So even though there have been massive worldwide sanctions against Russia, Russian troops in Ukraine are receiving millions in crypto donations. And Anna has gone the distance to talk to various people who are involved in actually making sure that crypto funds are still flowing to Russia. So according to CoinDesk analysis, a significant part of the $1.8 million went to centralized exchanges even, including Russian exchanges Garantex and Bizlato, both suspected of processing large amounts of criminal funds. But we also saw popular global platforms like Binance and Huobi that also managed to process some of these funds, even though they say that they've been freezing accounts. It's a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole. And a lot of it is due to the covert operation of what's going on in terms of funding accounts. There's one NACC that's been operating actually since 2014 when Russia annexed the Crimean Peninsula. And there was an armed insurgency in southeastern Ukraine, which predates obviously the current action. And they've been using crypto donations for a long time and getting really good at it. So they've managed to expand their processes. Before they used to just be asking for Bitcoin. They now support Ether and Tether wallets, and they've had lots and lots of donations, and these are going to grassroots level actions as opposed to the big public funding for Ukraine in digital currency wallets. And they are operating largely on the dark web, and they know what they're doing. So I just found this a fascinating story. There's a lot to unpack here. So anybody who wants to jump in, probably the hands were up there. Zach, do you want to start?
Yeah, this is a really big crypto story, right? Crypto blockchains are open, permissionless. They're tools for good and bad, depending on your view of the conflict. And it's being used on both sides of this conflict, as evidenced in this great piece of reporting from Anna. This is potentially, I think this gets to the heart of the issue, right? These are neutral tools. They go both ways. How do regulators the world over look at that? That is sort of the next question, right? And this is potentially a really bad look for what crypto can enable if you feel, like many in the world do, that the Russian act of aggression is unfounded. So obviously, these are a set of tools that are being used on both sides of the equation, directly funding the war effort, both pro and both for and against the Russian invasion. So that's sort of the big picture thing that you have to think about when you think about crypto's ability to exist sort of outside of the purview of the current financial system and the many sanctions and many sort of interlinkages with the global sort of governmental apparatus that we see here. So this is big stakes. These are human lives that are being impacted by the funds that are moving across these rails, and it's something that certainly should be getting, I think, more attention, including the war itself as it approaches its 1-year anniversary. So it's pretty wild that Anna did the digging here and found these wallets. I think the numbers aren't staggeringly large, I will say, but just the evidence here assembled is pretty striking. Will, I'm going to toss it to you.
Yeah, Zach, that's one thing that actually popped off the page to me when I was reading this report, which everyone should definitely go check out on CoinDesk.com, our favorite news website in crypto. The fact that the funds weren't huge here, but they are substantial in the sense that that money does go into someone's pocket, and then that pocket can lead to a bullet somewhere, right? So this money is going to fuel a war, and it can lead to people's lives being lost. And so any sort of way to stop the funds moving here is of importance to a lot of people on one side of the conflict or the other. And I think that's really an interesting angle here. Another part of this that's really interesting is just the neutral part of crypto, right? Just like you said, Zach, it's permissionless, open source blockchains, right? These blockchains don't really care that the money is moving back and forth. It's just code to blockchains. On the other side of all those code inputs is someone who's using that money to go purchase missiles, going to go purchase Band-Aids, or going to go purchase drones. And those things are being used in this war. It's something that I think a lot of people are going to be uncomfortable with, but I think it is a very strong indicator of what the future looks like. Going to take a little history corner on you guys, but back in the 1850s, the war in Crimea, same place on the globe, there was a very similar conflict.